Whenever I'm writing a game review, there is one word I am very careful with. Perfect. Because to say something is perfect means that it's infallible, that nothing anybody could ever add or take away from that thing would make it better. Those are pretty strong implications. There are very few things human beings have made in general that fall under that criteria. But in my opinion, Gitaroo Man is a 100% perfect game. Music is practically a part of my soul, man. I don't think there's been a moment since I was young that some song or another wasn't playing in my head at any given time. To see a game get music so right, even when compared to other rhythm games I was playing at the time like Rez and DDR Extreme 2, hit me in a way I can never let go. This goes far beyond having a good soundtrack, or even a great one. Every song in this game is not only vastly different in terms of composition and tone, but it manages to bring so much out of the theme it aims for and the instruments it uses that you can only describe these pieces as masterful. That wasn't even on purpose when I wrote that. It is my favorite video game soundtrack, hands down, and it stands as an example of why I love cartoons and cel-shaded aesthetics. Because the only way this game got away with having all the types of music it did is by setting them in a universe where anything could happen. And anything does happen, which is part of what makes Gitaroo Man so much fun. This game redefines over the top. It gets so insane at times you'd think it was developed by Studio Trigger. And it works, not only because of how much it commits itself to doing whatever it wants, but also because U1, our main protagonist, is just as confused by it all as we are. His reactions are priceless. There's this one moment in Stage 3 that never fails to crack me up. Watch this. Look at that face! That is the expression of, I just found out my dog can talk, finished a guitar duel with a demon, fought off a UFO that blasted me with fat beats, and now I'm in the middle of a swamp having a funk off with a black guy in a bee suit for the fate of the entire universe. I quit. I have officially given up trying to make sense of any of this. And that relatability is what sells how high these stakes are sometimes. You really do feel like the entire universe is hanging in the balance because you are this guy, not just because your hands are on the controller. See, Gitaroo Man had another advantage in my case: timing. I played it at a point in my life where it would have hit home the hardest. Those were the days of high school and discovering who I really was. In that vulnerable and confusing time, I needed a story like this. I needed to watch this awkward little goof rise up and become a hero in his own right. Let's be real here. In some ways, all of us were U1 at some point. We've doubted ourselves. We've had moments in this strange world run by evil adults that forced us to grow up and become better people for it. And developer Innes managed to wrap up what that's like in a package so filled with the power of anime that it could only have come from Japan. Not that I could articulate any of that to you at the time. This game actually reminds me of Fooly Cooly in that sense, which I was watching at around the same time, and portrays a lot of the same messages. I didn't understand it back then, but I totally got it, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I couldn't understand why, but I empathized with this kid on a level that felt all too personal at the time. I had to deal with bullies from first grade all the way up through middle school. I wanted so badly to see U1 be happy, and if you know the drill with this medium, you know that I got my wish. That's part of why I love video games, and it's a lesson I've carried into the real world. When you buy a game, you enter a silent pact with the developer that if you try hard enough, if you make the right choices, and if you put in the effort and time, you will get your happy ending. Without games drilling that concept into my head, I don't know how I would have survived my formative years and found the willpower to overcome my failings. But I'm glad I did, and I'm glad that this was the game that helped me do it. Playing Gitarro Man during that time was much like listening to instrumental music. Even if I couldn't put into words what was going on, I understood exactly what was happening. And that is something I can only describe as perfect.